What's your experience with floating dip tubes?
I would agree with that. So I have floating tip tube, I have floating dip tubes in like three of my kegs.
Okay.
Not all of them. So I like them for lagers. I like them for beers that I want to clarify quickly, but I've had hit or miss issues with them because sometimes they don't quite work the way you want them to. Sometimes they sit a little too far off the surface of the wort,
So it's
and they
foam.
just like suck in a little bit of
Yeah.
beer, and it like gets all super foamy when you try to pour it, and it's really annoying. But there's a couple workarounds that I've had, and like I said, I also had issues with high hop bills. Sometimes the hops just clog them, and it's just a pain in the butt. Um, but a couple of workarounds, you can get stainless steel washers, and you put like 3 or 4 washers on the little ball that floats the dip tube, and it actually lets it sit a little bit further down, and that helps it sit below the surface, and that's actually worked out really well for me lately. And then I also got a bunch of kind of like they're like filters in a way. It's like a mesh kind of thing that sits on the end of your dip tube, and those have been good too for keeping it from getting clogged. So ever since I put those two things in, it's actually been pretty good overall. But
What
that
about
being said, I mean, like, over a traditional dip tube, you're not getting that much extra functionality.
okay?
So it's up to you as to whether you want to use them. I just had them installed, and by now, I just don't want to walk it back.
Good feedback. I appreciate that because I'm definitely in the market, not only to make YouTube videos, but just to have beer with more clarity. Do you recommend any brand over another? Because I know there's two different styles. There's one that's got the big kind of like the fishing bob look, and then there's one more that's got like a barrel look. It's more of kind of like a drum on its side, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Do you have better experience with certain ones? You said you had what,
I
3?
think it depends. I use torpedo kegs because that's what my homebrew store stocked, and that's what I had.
love
So
torpedo.
there's a specific kind of dip tube that goes with those. So I think they sell them on Kegland. So that's the brand that I've used. I haven't gone with any other brand yet, so I don't want to say specifically good or bad things about one other brand.
Good man.
So I think I know what you're talking about with like the barrel on its side thing. That's the filter thing that I'm talking about. So that sticks at the end of the dip tube, and it gets rid of any particulates and hops and stuff like that.
I don't, unless it's like 100%, it's going to make your beer clear and it's just going to pour perfectly every time. Other than that, I don't know if it's going to
Do
be
you
worth...
use any sort of findings on the cold side?
Do I use what?
Do you use cold side findings? Because
What's
if you
that?
do, like gelatin or
Oh,
biofine
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, I use gelatin for
Yeah,
every
so
bit. Don't
if
tell
you
Trent.
do that, you don't need that dip tube.